All right, so it's time. Thank you so much for coming and joining us today, guys. We're really happy to have everybody. We're really excited to talk about best practices in construction bidding and ways that you can use Red Team to kind of best maximize your construction bidding process and pre-construction. Just so everybody knows, just some housekeeping items. We are going to be recording this webinar, so at the end of this webinar, it will be sent out on demand. And feel free to ask any questions. There should be a Q&A or question section, so feel free to ask questions throughout the webinar. But at the end of the webinar, we'll have a Q&A session. So feel free, if you want to save them for the end, that's fine too. But you have both options. So really excited to hear what kind of questions we have here today. So we'll go on to the next slide and get started. The where so Red Team, essentially, we want to welcome everybody and just talk about how it was built for contractors by contractors. It was founded in 2006 by Michael Wright, our founder, and he is a contractor by trade, has the firsthand knowledge of the industry challenges that a lot of general contractors were facing, and he created the platform to empower construction teams to streamline their projects, control costs, drive collaboration, and really be able to manage it every step of the way, right? So Red Team is a trusted choice for contractors who demand tools that truly work in the field. So we're really excited to show you more of what that vision was for Mike Wright and break down how we are continuing to innovate in this industry. So we'll move on to the next slide. Some of the things that we're going to talk about, we're going to kind of do some introductions. You see a lot of pretty faces here on the call. We have our panelist team here to kind of go over a lot of the things that we're going to talk about. We're going to outline the current landscape of construction pricing, and then also talk about best practices for construction bidding specifically. Also have an opportunity to demo both of our products. We have Red Team Go and Red Team Flex. So we're excited to be able to show you both and how they can kind of help streamline things for you. And then, like I mentioned at the outset, we have our Q&A session at the end. So feel free to save your questions for the end. Now, like I said, we have our presenters and our panelists. So I'm excited to introduce Eileen. She's our senior implementation specialist. She'll be doing our demo for Red Team Go. And we have Neil Latchmansingh. I practice his last name all week. Great guy. He's going to be demoing. He's our associate product owner. He's going to be demoing our Red Team Flex platform and showing you a little bit about that. And then my name is Josias Tchatchoua. I'm part of our client success team, our senior client success manager. So I'm excited to kind of talk through some of our bidding platform and bidding tools. But as a whole, the question that we're really wanting to ask is, why do you need the right tools, right? So when it comes from creating estimates, requesting vendor bids, bid leveling, submitting proposal packages, it's very imperative that you use the right tools to streamline and simplify the process as best you can. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, is ways that you can allow your contractors, your collaborators, stakeholders, everybody to kind of be in the loop seamlessly and streamline the process as best as you can using Red Team in the process. So really excited to talk about that. So moving on to our next slide, we kind of want to talk about the evolution of construction bidding, right? A lot of you who may have been in the field or the trade for a long time may remember the time where you were using fax machines to be able to send things through emails. And so, we have your traditional and your modern bidding methods that you can use to be able to accomplish your bids. But we're really excited to talk about how Red Team specifically can help streamline things, right? If you have used email, faxes, anything like that, any modern or traditional ways of doing it, you kind of have the heartburn, so to speak, of the process, so to speak, of going back and forth, being able to collect all that information. Then once it's been received and printed out, most likely you might have used either a shared file or a binder to be able to store all that information. And then those quotes, you have to compare them manually, update the cost and price data in those individual estimates individually, and then all the manual work that went into it to be able to make sure that all the collaborators and everybody who's a part of the team, whether it's your ops team, your PMs, have that information as well and have access to it. So again, a lot of steps, a lot of things can get lost in translation in the process. So what essentially Red Team is and what technology is going to allow you to do is really be efficient in the process, right? Automating this as best as you can, which is going to allow for quicker turnaround, allows for streamlining the individual workflows within your team. You save time. The reducing of errors, that's a huge thing, right? I mean, as many of you might have played the game telephone, things get lost, the more hands that are kind of in the pot, so to speak. So really reducing errors is going to really be able to save you guys a whole lot in the process. And then, providing insights that are really going to help provide visibility, and, you see what works on this project and you can essentially reduce the errors on the next project. So we're really excited to be able to kind of show you how Red Team can do that for you, and really help streamline things for you as a whole. So that is why more companies are moving in this direction, and so we're really excited to show you that. So I'm gonna do less talking, and we're gonna actually now talk more about those best practices. So I'm gonna pass the mic over to Neil, and he's gonna talk more about the best practices for construction bidding.
Yep. Thank you very much, Josias. So yes, we're going to discuss what are the best ways to go ahead and set out to do construction bidding. One of the first ones here is the key strategies to create effective bids. Now, the first one we would talk about is having a thorough scope definition. Clearly defining the scope of work before the bidding process begins is tantamount to making sure you're doing the right thing. This involves understanding details and requirements, which minimizes misunderstandings and costly revisions later. Also, having a clear and professional bid presentation can really go ahead and enhance the credibility of any bid you send out. Using clear language, well-organized sections, and easy-to-read tables makes the bid request easy to review and fill out for any of the bidders that it's sent to. Now, the next one we have is risk management and cost control during the bidding phase. The first step there is identifying and mitigating key risks early. This is outlining a potential project risks early on, and for each risk specifying a mitigation strategy, which could include additional time or contingency funds. But making sure this is all done early in the process, so not to come back and bite you later when you're in the middle of the project. Using bid leveling to control costs. By using bid leveling, it allows for effective cost control by creating a systematic approach to evaluating and comparing bids from different vendors. So you have the right bid and the right amount, so you're getting the most out of your bidding process. And lastly, we have enhancing collaboration between estimators, project managers, and stakeholders. Because as Josias was talking about earlier, we used to have a lot of paper pushing back and forth, things getting lost, post-it notes with amounts. So to get around that nowadays, we use centralized systems. By centralizing information, you can streamline the collaboration, prevent miscommunications, and keep everyone on the same page. So you don't have to go running around looking for those faxes or those binders, which were not too fun. And lastly, you can standardize documentation and data entry. Using standardized templates and data entry protocols across all your teams provides consistency and accuracy in bid documents. This practice also minimizes errors, simplifies review, and speeds up the overall bidding process. If you have everything set to a certain standard, you don't have to go running around looking for different things that everyone may not have been filling out previously. So those are just a couple ways we go ahead and have the best practices for construction bidding. Now, to go ahead and enhance on that, we're going to go ahead and actually dive directly into our two products. We're going to start off first with RedTeam Go, and Eileen's going to show how those best practices we talked about and the traditional versus modern that Josiah's talked about work in practice. So go ahead, Eileen.
Okay, everyone can see my screen. Awesome, thank you. All right, so here in RedTeam Go, I have created my base bid. I've entered all of my cost codes, and I'm ready to send out my bid invitations to my subcontractors. Now, as long as I have all of my subcontractors that I've worked on with in the past or that I want to work on with in the future entered into my database under contacts, when we come over here to invitations, Red Team will be able to go through our entire database and let us know which subcontractors are able to bid on particular cost codes. Okay. So this is my invitation list. I do have the ability to come over here and set my filters. I can choose to search within 100 miles or no limit of my job site zip code. I do have additional filters over here. Let's say I need to search for subcontractors that are union. I would make sure that I have that checked, and Red Team will bring up those union subcontractors. Okay. I do also have the ability to go through each individual cost code, and RedTeam will show me my list of subcontractors that I have in my database that I can invite to bid on this project. Now, using RedTeam Go to send out these bid invitations are going to it's going to save you a lot of time. One, we are able to set up a bid due date, letting our subcontractors know exactly when they need to submit their bid by. Okay, and we have an auto reminder in RedTeam. So you don't need to remember to go out and email that subcontractor. We can set up that auto remind for you. So right now I'm just going through looking at all of my subcontractors, and I'm adding those that I'd like to send out my bid invites to. Okay. So we can see RedTeam has updated this to 5, and here's that bid due date that I mentioned. So I currently have it set for December 27th, and I've set it for 3 p.m. Okay. Right? So when I'm ready to send this out, I'm just going to select send. RedTeam's going to send out 5 individual emails. My subcontractors will not know that I'm sending out a mass invitation. They will each get their very own email. Now the email is actually generated from over here. RedTeam has this template built in for you. You do have the ability to come in here and edit the template if you'd like. So once we're ready, I'm just going to select send, and RedTeam's going to send out those invitations. Now, a great thing about this, or another great thing about using RedTeam to send out your bid invites, is that RedTeam's keeping track of those bid invites right down over here. We're keeping track of when they open the emails over here. So once the email is opened, it is going to show that the bid was viewed. It's going to keep track when our subcontractors are deciding yes, no, maybe, if they intend on bidding, and it's also keeping track of their bid amounts that they've entered. So I'm going to now show you that email from the view of the subcontractor that's received this bid invitation. Okay. So here you go. It's showing that it comes from me. It's not going to go into their spam box. They have that invitation to bid, and here's that email. Okay. All they need to do is select this link right here that says View Drawings and RSVP, and it's going to bring them right over to their bid portal. Okay. It immediately brings them to my plan room. So I've built out my plan room in RedTeam Go, giving them access to drawings. So they have the bid set drawings here. They do have the ability to click into the drawings and view them. They can also download those drawings if they need to. Okay. And I've used RedTeam's OCR to go through and name each sheet. It's picked up the sheet name and sheet number. Alrighty, now over here, they do have the ability to also check in specifications. If I've uploaded anything in my specifications folder in my plan room, any photos that I've uploaded in my plan room that they want to reference are here as well. But to bid on the project, all they'll need to do is select the view bid items right over here. Okay, and here are all the items that I've asked them to bid on. Okay, now you can see here, it's showing them the cost code, but not just the cost code. It's also showing them the scope of work that I've taken the time to enter into my bid notes in RedTeam Go. Okay, this is removing any question from my subcontractor, excavation and fill. They're going to know exactly what I'm asking them to bid on because I've taken the time to fill out the scope of work. You can see I've done the same for specialties. Now, if I hadn't, so you can see for metals, I didn't fill out the bid notes. So they're just going to have that cost code and the description. So all my subcontractor needs to do is enter their bid amount. This is everything subcontractors, so they do everything. They're going to bid on excavation and fill and a water feature. Okay. Now, once they've entered their amount, if they want to upload a copy of their bid, they do have the ability right over here. RedTeam is going to store this and upload it into our system for you. Yeah. Now, all they'll need to do is select Submit Bid to GC, and I'm going to receive an email letting me know that there is a bid waiting for my review. Now, when I return and I come back into RedTeam, come over to my bid worksheet, Aside from the emails that I'm going to receive that my subcontractors are submitting their bids, I'm also going to be able to check that real time by looking at my bid worksheet. I know that for excavation and fill, I have received bids from my subcontractors. I know that because my gavel is a permanent fixture. So one of the ways that I can view my bids and see all of them lined up together is by selecting this gavel. And RedTeam is going to show me the bids that I've received. Okay, so everything subcontractor has bid $50,000. Natalie's Concrete, I sent them the bid, but they haven't responded. Now, RedTeam does give me the chance to enter their bid for them. So let's say Natalie doesn't use RedTeam Go. She receives the email, but she decides to reply to me. I have the chance to come in here and enter my bid for her, or enter her bid. Now, if I received another bid from a subcontractor that I did not send the bid invite to, I can still come in here as long as they're in my database, select that subcontractor and enter their bid amount. But now viewing my list of bids, I can come over here and select the best price if I'd like. So if I want to go ahead and use everything subcontractor for this particular cost code, I'm just going to select this amount right here. Okay, that's going to change this $0 value to 50,000. Now, if I do want to increase that value for any reason, 50,000 is what I intend on paying my sub, but I want to present this to my customer as 55. I'll come over here and make a $5,000 adjustment. Okay, my owner will never see this. This is just me creating my bid estimate. Okay, but once I'm ready to select the subcontractor that I want to award the work to, I'm going to click that amount. And now when we look over here, excavation and fill, the amount has been updated. But yeah, that's how we send out our bid invites. RedTeam's keeping track of all of this for you. Let me show you right over here under the invitations real quick. So if we come to the invitation responses, I sent out all of those invites. The only person who's responded using RedTeam Go was everything subcontractor. You can see here their bid intention was set to yes. It showed that they viewed the bid. If I scroll over here, RedTeam's keeping track of their attachments. So they uploaded their bid. I have that right over here. And I have the ability to come over here and make changes as well. So let's say Atlas Arrow did intend on bidding, but they're not using RedTeam. I can change these amounts to yes, change this response to yes, and RedTeam's keeping track of that information up here for me as well. Okay. Yep, and that's sending out bid invites with RedTeam Go. Okay, there we go. I will stop sharing my screen now and you can take over, Neil.
Thank you, Eileen. Right, so I am now going to show RedTeam Flex. All right, everyone able to see that screen? Looking good on there? Perfect. Awesome. So we are in one of our demo databases in RedTeam Flex. We're just going to jump in and take a quick look at how we would go ahead and set up a bid package, send out the bid forms, and also how it would look on a proposal for all of the information we're going to provide to our actual customer. So first thing we're just going to start off with is clicking the home and jumping into the estimate. This is our easy to use spreadsheet style estimate, which does allow you to go ahead and use it just like you would Excel, because most people know Excel, so we figured it was the easiest way of having everyone jump in there and just start using it as simple as possible. Now, you don't have to use a mouse. You actually can jump around the estimate directly using keyboard, and any numbers that are changed on here, for example, if I just change out this and move over, auto calculates and auto saves. So the estimate is nice and quick and easy to use. Once you have an estimate built out, though, you can start building bid packages. So with that, you would go up here and you would start to add a bid package. I already have a couple pre-made, so we don't have to sit there while I go ahead and add everything to it. Once you have a bid package, you can name the different bid packages, fill out all the information You also have special instructions in here, the due date of when it's going to come through, and any attachments you want to go ahead and provide to your bidders. So that'll all pull up on the bid form, which we're going to see in a little bit when you send out a request for quote. In here, you have cost codes, which you can pull directly from the estimate, or you can add cost codes directly to the bid package. This means if you forgot a cost code or realize, oh, I didn't put that on my estimate, you don't have to jump back and forth between the bid package and the estimate to get it added. You can add it right through the bid package. It'll show up on your estimate. Also, you would want to go ahead and add the bidders to the bid package once you have it formed. This one has a couple, but with the bidders, you can go ahead and search directly for them. So if you know their names, you can add them that way. But we also have qualifications and requirements and a whole bunch of filters that you can go ahead and use to find the right bidder for the job. So here we have, for example, trades, distance from the job site, qualifications, which really important. Qualifications are a customizable feature which you can make and assign to the different vendor profiles based upon your needs. And then we also have any credentials that might be important and that are on file and up to date. And just as a quick example, if I wanted to select, for example, retail, it puts it down to 7, but I can also go in here and I'll click on just the one of the actual trades, and it'll go ahead and define it even better. So you can really refine your bidder search for whatever your needs are based upon the bid package. Now, once we have our bidders in there, we have the cost codes in there and the assemblies all written out, which you can go ahead and change out the assemblies directly in here to give as much information as you need to your bidders. You go ahead and send a request for quote, and your bidder will get this screen. This is the bid form. So the bid form shows up with all the specific information from the project, description of what the actual project is doing, the due date, which here is a older one that I had previously, but you would see that it would tell them the due date and if it was behind. And then finally, we have our bid amounts. So this operates just like the bid package and the cost estimate. The vendors can go ahead and click on it, or the bidders, and fill it out, providing how much they want to bid for each one. They can also select which assemblies they are bidding on. So if they didn't want to bid on one of these, they could just turn it off and it would show up when you get the bid. They also can go ahead and put in an overall amount, and the bid form will actually split it up across the items. So if they don't want to go ahead and do line by line, they're just going to put in a lump sum, they can go ahead and do that, and it'll split it across all the items for them. Lastly, in the bid form, they have the option to go ahead and upload a supplemental bid document if they have any. So they can go ahead and throw that in there, and it'll show up inside of the bid package once they've completed everything and filled it out. So jumping back over to bid packages, in here, to be able to see additional information, we have quote cards. So by clicking in the top and going to open quote card, in here we'll actually see if they had any attachments. It'll also show the bid and the status of the bid. So also this would be if they go ahead and said won't bid, may bid, will bid, that'll also show up in here as well. Using the quote cards though, you can go ahead and do additional bid leveling. So if you have a whole bunch of bidders and you only want to look at 2, let's say they're the last 2, they're the ones you think you might go with, you can go ahead and open the quote cards for each and compare them. Any bidder notes you enter in here are specific to only inside of RedTeam Flex in your database. The bidders will not see it. So if you did want to go ahead and communicate between other project managers who might be in the project, you can go ahead and put those notes in there as well. Once you've decided on one, you can actually change the statuses directly from the quote cards. You can, for example, make this one committed. And if you're selecting this person as the one you're going to go with, selecting it as best will automatically update the back area here for the bid package and show that they are the one you're going to go with. Once you've decided on your bid packages, which you could build out as many as you need, we have a couple more in here. So if you wanted to do, one based upon a certain trade or a certain type of work or any type of bid package setup you want to do, you can make as many as necessary for each project. Then we have the schedule of values, which using the schedule of values, you can go ahead and import your estimate into the schedule of values and fill this all out quickly. You don't have to build the schedule of values manually. And then we have types in here, which the types are important too if you're going to use general conditions, general requirements, or any type of owner allowance. You can actually select those and set those types of SOV items specifically so they'll show up on the proposal. If we're going to jump over and look at the proposal now. So in the proposal, you'll be able to add different attachments to make it show the amount of breakdowns, for example, of the schedule values, the selected bidders you're going to go with, and the bid leveling you decided on. In here in the proposal, we're going to go ahead and look at the fact that first, this is your scope of work. This is user defined. You can decide to do it by the assemblies. You could also go ahead and put it in just a long set of instructions. There are a couple different ways of making that look exactly how you want it to appear. But what we're more here for is seeing the schedule of values will appear, and then the negotiated pricing summary. Now, really important with the negotiated pricing summary, you'll notice it is actually dividing the areas so that general conditions that I've set for one of them is separated from the others. The cost of work is separated. If you had allowance or general requirements, those would be separated as well to give a very good minuscule breakdown of how the schedule of values is being set up and what's being spent where. And then we have a little more exact pricing detail, which goes even further into the schedule of values and shows each one of the lines of the cost codes. And lastly, we have the bid package. So this is the one that was completed. Your owner or client will see this when you send it out, so you can be very upfront, showing them what the other bidders were providing, which bidder you went with, and how much you're going to go for that bidding. So in that would be how you would go ahead and do the bid leveling, set up your proposal, solicit the bids, and, go ahead and set up a cost and price modeling as well. Okay. So before we move on, so we just saw through Flex and Go, the collaborative cost and pricing models, digital bid submissions through both, and how to bid level in both of the actual products. Key takeaways is simplified cost and price modeling for faster and accurate projections and efficient bid solicitation with real-time leveling and analytics. So now if anyone on here is not a current RedTeam client, feel free to scan the QR code to set up a meeting with our team so you can look into the benefits of getting one of our RedTeam solutions. Of course, if you don't have a chance to scan or don't want to fumble out your phone right now trying to do that, we are going to send this on demand later so you can use the QR code directly in there. If anyone has any questions they'd like to go ahead and throw in Q&A for us to answer, and we'll go ahead and do it live if anyone has anything. And while we're waiting, I just want to say thank you all for taking the time out of your day to sit here and listen to us discuss construction bidding. And of course, if you are interested in learning more, feel free to visit redteam.com to learn more about Flex, Go, and our other solutions that we have on there as well. And what are the biggest challenges contractors face during the bidding process?
I think there are a few, keeping track of who you've reached out to, which, as you can see, RedTeam Go is helping you with that. Also, hunting down those bids, reminding them, hey, we need that bid from you. Again, RedTeam Go and Flex are helping you with that. So I think that personally, those are the biggest that I've come across is gathering that pricing, keeping all of that pricing in one location, so that you're making sure that you're selecting, the best cost for you and the best value for your client.
You can find who has bid and who hasn't bid and getting the right people responding to the right thing. So once again, I want to thank everyone for attending. Thank you for our panelists. Thank you, Josias and Eileen, for go ahead and discussing construction bidding today. And I hope everyone can have a great takeaway from this webinar.